We'll go ahead and continue with our post-race press conference. We're now joined by tonight's winning car owner, Rick Hendrick. This is Mr. Hendrick's fifth career victory at Texas Motor Speedway as a car owner. If you could, Rick, talk about the poise that the 48 team showed this evening.
Well, it was kind of a perfect night other than one pit stop, and we didn't make any mistakes on the track. The car was really fast, and we all tested here, and all of our cars ran well. Dale had a good night. I think Jeff was going to have a good night, and when they finished 3 in the top 5, that's a good race for us, and we knew Matt was going to be tough from practice and qualifying, and it's just good to get out of here with a 7-point lead. We had that last year, and we went to Phoenix and had a problem at Homestead. So I'd rather be 7 ahead than 7 behind, but I don't think we're going to know what's going to happen until the last lap at Homestead.
Going over for questions. Dustin?
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Rick, what is the difference? Like you said, you mentioned the points advantage this time last year. What's the difference with this team this year compared to last year? Because obviously, last year, although you guys had the problems, you guys got beat, and there was a sense of how invincible that this 48 team's been in the garage. So what's different from this year to last year to maybe regain that dominance potential?
I felt real good going to Phoenix last year, and I thought we were in good shape, and we had a problem. And I've never seen it this tight, so I don't feel any better, really this year than I did last year. And, I actually felt like when we went to Phoenix that we'd put some distance on Brad, and we would be in pretty good shape. And then we blew a tire, hit the wall. So I think Jimmie's been very confident, but nobody has said he was unbeatable this year. I mean, really, Matt's been right there the whole year. It's got more wins, one more, I guess, than we do, maybe 2, I don't remember. But we've led so many laps. I think the thing that puzzles us this year is we've been in position, we've led right up to the end, and then on a restart, we've given 2 or 3 away on the restarts this year. And the car's been really fast and led a lot of laps, and we didn't close the deal, and that's not like the 48. So, and Matt was right there to take advantage when Casey in Vegas and Jimmie in a couple of places. So we know that that team's not going to make many mistakes.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Rick, can you talk a little bit about your feelings about Jeff having problems and basically falling out of a chance to win a 5th title, and Dale Jr., 5th runner-up this year? They've done everything but win. They've surrounded it a number of times.
Yeah, Jeff had he was leading this race, I think, early this year, and had a bearing failure, which we never have. He was really pumped up after getting in the chase and winning Martinsville, and felt really good about this race. And I was with him this morning, and I think it's I hate it for that team because they have really come together, and he's put a bunch of good runs together. But it's you just can't help stuff like tire problems or failures or things like that happen to you. And as far as Dale goes, Casey, I'll talk about Casey just a second. He started the year off as our best car. I mean, he led everything, and then he fell off. Junior came on strong. He's been running really well. I didn't think Jimmie would get him at Dover, and but Dale and Stevie are really clicking, and Dale his confidence is higher than I've seen it since he's been with us. And I hate if he hadn't had that motor problem early in the chase, he'd be right there. So but it's again, I think the engine guys and I hold our breath for 500 miles when shouldn't need Jimmie to say he had a vibration with about 20 to go. Man, that was a long 20 laps. But anyway, I think everybody's doing a good job. But I feel for Jeff because he really had shown what that team could do. And, I hate it for him, but that's just it could be Jimmie next week. It could be Matt next week. You just don't know.
Bob?
Bob Parker, Sporting News. You kind of talked a little bit about it earlier and how the team didn't close, but this is their first win on a 1.5 mile track this year, which seems pretty amazing. Is there anything that you feel like they're doing better at this point of the season than they were on the intermediate tracks earlier in the year?
No, Bob, when you look back, I think we had an engine problem with 8 to go somewhere. I don't remember where it was. We led all the laps, and then there was a caution at the end on the restart. A couple of guys, we spun the tires. We were really good and ran into each other on the first lap at Atlanta. I mean, we've been fast enough to win races. We haven't led at the right time. I mean, that sounds silly, but we just in the restarts were biting us. And but if you go back and look at the laps Jimmie's led in 1.5 miles, we should have won more races there.
Stan?
Rick, Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Congratulations. This may be 2 races early to ask you, but you've always had wonderful combinations of drivers and crew chiefs. How does Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson rate in all of the different drivers and crew chiefs that you've had over these years?
I mean, I think you look at their performance kind of speaks for itself. And, Ray and Jeff were kind of magical when they were together. And Chad and Jimmie just, it's amazing the confidence they have in each other. And I'll tell you, I was here working yesterday at the dealerships, and I called Chad. I texted him. Those guys don't answer the phone. So about 11 o'clock, he was, saying I was working on the setups and stuff for the day. And, I mean, the amount of energy that Chad and Jimmie put into it amazes me. I don't know how they continue to come to that level every single week and every single year. But I look at Jimmie and his workout routine and what he eats and how he runs, and I look at Chad and how Chad is calmer, and I think he's more seasoned than I've seen him. He can handle adversity better, and that's made the team better. So I'm glad I don't have to race against them.
Nate?
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Rick, does it get easier now that it's essentially just the 48 versus the 20? There's really nobody else to worry about beyond Matt?
No, it really doesn't. I mean, everywhere we go, we're right together. I mean, we qualify close together, we race close together, and I thought when we went to Martinsville, we'd come out of Martinsville with a good spread. I thought that I didn't think Matt would run that well at Martinsville, and there he was, almost winning the race. It's more. I think it's just more tension. I mean, I don't know how it could get any harder than it is right now. I mean, from a standpoint of being out there watching the restarts, watching the start of the race, knowing that we're asking a lot of the engines tonight on a 500-mile race on a cool night where they make a lot of power. I was amazed that there wasn't more engine trouble, because we had some real nice green flag runs. But it's nerves. I mean, it's just not going to end until we get. I think it's going to be the last lap at Homestead, unless one of them has a major failure early in Phoenix, and then the other guys just got to finish in the top 10. But I don't see that happening. I think this is just going to be a dogfight. The teams are that close.
Carlos?
Rick, Carlos Mendez, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. This is about 8 straight years Jimmie has done this, to be in this position at this point of the year. Do you see him gain an extra level of confidence or edge each successive year?
Well, when you win 5 straight and then you come back and you don't win a couple of years, and but they prepare, and we've been in it. So all you can ask the team to do is show up every week and be capable of winning races and leading the points and being there. And he's been in it. And like last year, I mean, Tony was unbeatable, and we were kind of off that year. I don't think anybody was going to beat Tony winning 5 races out of 10. But last year we were in this position, and we didn't do it. And it fired us up, fired Jimmie and Chad up. But they can't work any harder. I think they're as good as they've ever been, and maybe better because they're seasoned. Now they've lost it. They've lost it a couple of years in a row, and they want it bad this year. But they're doing everything in their power, preparation, cars, at the shop, at the track, engine guys. Everybody's working as hard as they can, and so are the other guys. So is the 20 car, Matt Kenseth. I just think it's going to be, again, it's going to be the best points race. If they don't have any trouble, it's going to come down to, Homestead, and it'll be you won't know till it's over.
Rick, Stephen Cole Smith with Auto Week. This is the 20th top 10 for Junior, and the only one better than that is Jimmie. Would you talk a little bit about whether or not you think Junior's getting the credit for the kind of season he's having, or it seems like so many people still think it's a disappointment, but 20 top 10s this year seems like a pretty strong season.
Yeah, again, if you just go back and give him a top 10 for the motor that he lost in the first of the chase, then it would be an entirely different story. He's finished, I have this theory, you're not going to win till you're consistently in the top 10, and then you got to be consistently in the top 5. And when you can run consistently in the top 5, you're going to win races. And he's been right there. Again, I said it earlier, his confidence is higher than it's ever been, and he gets we get plenty of questions when he's going to win a race, but he's right there. So I think as competitive as he is, it's answered a lot of questions, and I think we're going to build on that momentum. Hopefully we can continue the next 2 weeks. He's really good at Phoenix. He likes Homestead. We had a great test there. I hope he can win a race and carry this momentum into next year. And I think he could be right in the middle of this championship had we not lost that engine, and he had nothing to do with that.
Jim
Utter, Charlotte Observer. When the chase started, Jimmie had just come off, I think it was 4 straight finishes of 28th or worse. At that time, a lot of people questioned whether or not, what would he do in the chase. I'm just interested to know what your thoughts were at that time, and is the 48 team performance that we've seen in the chase what you believe the true indicator of the team has been this season?
Yeah, you go back and look at what happened. We had some things that happened in the race, and again, restart on the first lap and you run into the back of one of the other cars and knock the radiator out of it. Engine problem, a broken valve spring, running well. When you see that, you know that's just, those are things that are going to happen. But the speed's been there. The laps led were there. And again, you look at the restarts going back to Dover and some of the other races, we just, uncharacteristically, we were in the wrong spot at the right time, took 4 tires, got in the wrong lane. It just, the speed was there. So, I didn't think they would be rattled, and I thought once we got in the chase, we had a bunch of tracks he was good at. And his confidence was never down. Chad's confidence was never down because we could see what was causing the problem, and it was out of their control, really.
When you have 4 in a row, you start getting a little
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you think you're snake bit, and and Jeff thought he was snake bit, and that's what was so good about Jeff Gordon's run, is he just believed something was going to happen, and then he started clicking off good finishes, and that gets in your head. And I think Jimmie is able to cinch it up, man, when he needs to, and Chad has always been able to fire his guys up and work harder. So they sure didn't give up, and they knew they were capable of doing it.
Marty?
Marty Smith, ESPN. Rick, how do you see Dale's confidence higher? How do you notice that? What examples can you offer that prove to you that his confidence is higher?
You can see it the way he walks. I mean, you can see it when he gets out of the car. You can see it, and when I talk to him about the race, and he'll send me a text and say, "Man, that car was good. That was really, I love driving that car like that." And I see it in the way he goes to the racetrack and how he prepares for the race, talking to Stevie, and his confidence is on an all-time high. You can just see it in his face. You can see it in his interviews. I mean, I can. And but more than anything is his confidence on the radio when he's giving feedback to Stevie about what the car needs. He doesn't just say, I'm junk. I need a little bit of this, a little bit of that, or I'm good. That was better. And he's so, that's just a real, that's been Stevie, the two of them. When you talk about combinations and you talk about how Chad and Jimmie are, I think a lot of people overlook the relationship those two guys have developed and how well they communicate and how good they're working together. That's about as good as I've ever seen with a crew chief and driver.
Bob?
Bob Parker, Sporting News.
Man, I'm honored. I've never answered this many questions in my life. So. And you got anybody else to ask, have you?
I mean, as good as Jimmie's been in the chase, he has kind of left some points on the table at Charlotte and a couple other, Talladega. Were you concerned, and are you still concerned that maybe those will come back to haunt him? Because he's usually so good at just getting the most out of every situation.
Anytime you lose one of these things, you go back and think about what ifs. I remember when Kurt Busch's tire could have gone a foot the other way and we would have been 1-2 in the points. You can go back and second guess all of it and look at every mistake or every opportunity that you let get away. But at the end of the day, all the points, the last one counts just like the first one in the chase. And we would go back and look at some of those restarts and say, man, if we just had that, or if we had gotten in line in Talladega, we maybe could have won the race because we led a lot. But you can't look at it like that. I think you just have to, we're in the position. Now we only have two not to make a mistake, and hopefully we can just race without any kind of failure. But I don't think we'll look back. If it happens, we'll look back at the next two. We won't look at the ones way back, I don't think.
I believe we have a question in the press box.
Yeah, apologies for adding to your load, Rick. Louis Frank of Speed Week. Was wondering, you talked about how Chad was able to mature and handle things. You've been through so many close title chases. How do you handle it when it gets this close so late in the season?
I'm just thankful that we're competitive and we've won races, and I think you do the best you can and you show up, and if we don't win, I can handle that. I mean, we did the best we could. We weren't searching for speed. We weren't searching for horsepower or handling. We were right there, led laps with everybody and anybody. So at the end of the day, I just accept it and go on and get ready for next year. Come on over here, guys. I need your help.
Well, we're now joined
I've never answered this many questions in my life.
Sorry to leave you here so long.
We're joined by the winner of tonight's AAA Texas 500, Jimmie Johnson, driver of the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. First, he becomes the first driver to win consecutive fall events at Texas Motor Speedway. You're now tied with Carl Edwards for the most Sprint Cup Series wins at TMS with 3. For the fourth time in your career, you scored a perfect 150 driver rating. You led a race high 255 laps. And more importantly, you now have a 7-point lead going in to the final two races in the season. Talk about just the dominating performance you had tonight.
That was a great race car, and we're really buttoned up, which is the cool thing. We came here and tested, and after our 2 days, we really honed in on the balance of the car and comfort in the car. Felt really strong about things, but at the same time, we're here testing. All of our competitors were as well, so it was tough to leave here overly excited because your competition's here getting better and getting data and all that as well. So we came back and we just kept our blinders on, focused on our team, our race car, and got that thing pretty dang awesome. So there's a couple moments in the race where we had to work on the car from a balance standpoint. There's one cycle of pit stops I came out fourth or fifth and had to drive back through those guys and just got the lead from Brad before the caution came out. So it was, there's a couple tense moments in there, but honestly, when you have a dominant car, it is so stressful because you're just waiting for that thing that can get you, whatever it is. So it was nice to, keep Chad said it once on the radio, just keep a positive mindset here and things are going to work out. And we did that, and we stayed focused and got the job done.
We also have winning crew chief Chad Knaus. Chad, you all tested after Talladega here. Talk about how pivotal that test was in tonight's performance.
Trying to figure out this hat. How it's supposed to. I don't even know how it's supposed to be. It was a great test. It was difficult for sure. NASCAR allows us 4 tests per organization to do, and you've got to take all of your teammates there. So when we first came out here after Charlotte, unfortunately it rained, and we had to make a pretty difficult decision to everybody go back to Charlotte before Talladega, get our Talladega stuff prepared, go to Talladega and race, and then come back out here the next week. And I think it was very beneficial for us. We were able to really kind of break down what the race car was doing. Jimmie was able to go out there and kind of explore a little bit and find the little nuances of the racetrack on a kind of more of a calm environment. And I think it paid huge dividends for us from a lot of different levels, and it was good. Eddie had to be patient with us as we were trying to get him to put the jet dryers out there the day that it was raining and burn a bunch of jet fuel up. But he did the best he could to try to allow us to stay. But we definitely had to come back a week later. It was difficult.
We'll go ahead and continue with questions up in the press box. I believe there's a couple up there.
A question for Chad Knaus, Wolfgang Monza, Ranchport Press Agency. Mr. Chad, we had during this race a couple of troubles with other drivers, including Jeff with tires. When you saw that, did you modify or change your strategy for Jimmie's race? And question number 2, during the test earlier, did you figure out that maybe the tires would be a critical factor?
Yeah, well, we were here testing a couple of weeks ago. We did realize that there was a tire issue, but now that is not so unlike the norm. We have seen that in the past here, especially until the racetrack starts to get some rubber built up onto it, that we do see tire wear. So we saw that while we were here testing, and we really focused on the longer runs, 15, 20 lap runs while we were here at the test to make sure we could get the tires to last as long as what we needed, not so much worrying about the short run speed, the 3, 4, 5 laps. Fortunately enough, what we were able to get from that was we were able to understand how to make the race car go fast at 20 laps, keep the tires on it, and that actually translated back into a fast race car in the short run as well. So definitely was difficult to go through all of that. And we didn't really have to change our strategy too much. We were very fortunate that as we were going through that, we knew there were going to be tire problems, and the key is to not be the first one with a tire issue. And fortunately enough, we weren't.
Louis Frank of Speedweek. Chad, what out of the ordinary repairs did you have to make after yesterday's final practice, if any?
We didn't make a whole lot of changes. We felt like that we had a pretty good understanding of what the racetrack was going to do based on what we saw last fall, based on what we saw in the spring with the new Gen 6 race car, and then obviously taking into consideration what we saw during the test. So we didn't have to do a whole lot. We made some small modifications to the race car, and man, I was really pleasantly pleased right out of the box. Jimmie was able to go out there past the 99 car with relative ease just a couple laps into the race. So we hit it pretty close.
We're going to come back down here at the media center. Mark?
Mark Carroll, PRN, for Jimmie and Chad. Guys, when you win a race like this, you know, and you're battling somebody head to head, this doesn't shatter their confidence, but it's a pretty big blow. Do you think this will put some extra pressure on Matt and his team going to Phoenix and going to Homestead when you have this kind of dominance over them here at Texas?
I don't know. Well, I'd like it to, but I don't. You know, at this point of the season, if you're in contention, you've got more pressure than you ever wanted on you. It's just there. So I don't know if this puts any more. You know, they were able to get some points on us last week. We got some on them this week. So I'm not sure, but I know where we are and where our team is and our focus and how good of a test we had in Homestead. And we're very excited to get out to Phoenix and go racing again.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think Matt's the strongest player in that team. I think he's really the glue that holds that thing together. So we'll just have to see what happens. I feel like that if we stay focused on what it is that we've got to do and where we're at, you know, whether the chips fall where they may.
Stan, Jeff, and then Bob. Stan.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Chad, when you all came here to practice, I was here the one day, and it looked like you were doing everything that any of the other teams were attempting to do. Do you try to physically hide is the wrong word, but nevertheless hide what you're finding? And how much did the fact that Kenseth blew a tire on the second day of that test, how much did that help you get to where you needed to be?
You know, I wouldn't say that we hid a whole lot. We came here with a plan, and our plan was to try to understand this racetrack a little bit better, try to know what we needed to do when we came back and what adjustments would yield a good result. I know if I was the 20 and I came here and on my last day of testing I blew a right front tire, I'd be nervous as hell coming back to the racetrack. So that had to been looming over them. And, you know, quite honestly, based on what I saw at Homestead, you know, they're probably pretty nervous about that same thing happening there. So, but, you know, we just came here and just did our thing. And I think it's pretty classic 48. You know, we worry about us and just kind of let everything else go the way it should.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. The slow pit stop that happened that left you fifth on that cycle, was there any worry that losing your track position would kind of cost you or that you wouldn't be able to rally from that even with a good car?
Yeah, I knew we were going to lose some time. I thought I had a big enough lead. I'd be all right and still, you know, come out first or second. But I guess those guys pitted laps before we did and made up more time on track than really what we lost on pit road. And that became more evident to me as I was getting through them pretty quick. So I got to second pretty quick, and then just as I got by Brad, the caution came out. So that was a challenging point in the race, and for me, and it was nice to actually have it because then I realized, you know, how good of a car we had, and got a little experience passing some cars, and got an idea if we did lose track position, the adjustment we needed to make.
Bob.
Bob Parker, Sporting News for Jimmie and Chad. A year ago, you left here up 7. I'm curious in the points. Do you feel any better about this year or worse about this year? First on how you're doing and also considering Kenseth in the competition.
Yeah, I mean, we learn lessons each and every year. So I know when I go to Phoenix, the balance of the car and what I'd felt last year, and you know, led to a blown right front tire. So we'll show up there and make sure that from my standpoint and what I feel, and also what Chad sees with tire pressures and temps and the overall balance of the car, that we don't overwork that right front tire. So I feel better about Phoenix, honestly, than I did last year leaving here. And then last year we did not test Homestead, and we just came back from Homestead, and that test went really well. So I'm optimistic. I feel good. But, man, it's so weird because I've been in a position before where I've had these amazing sensations and feelings that a championship was going to happen, and we were able to do it for those 5 years in a row. There are other years where I had those feelings and it didn't happen. I think of 2004. We had everything going our way, it seemed like, and it didn't happen. Last year was another good example of us taking control late in the chase and then ended with 2 bad races. So I guess the lesson in all that is I'm not counting on anything, and I know I've got to go to Phoenix and race, and the same with Homestead. So it does simplify things a little bit. I'm not going to get too excited about things during the course of the week. I'm going to work real hard, train my butt off, stay in this little world that I've been living in for the last 5 or 6 months, but more so the last 8 weeks, and show up ready to go these next 2 weeks.
What was the question again?
The question is, do you feel like different being 7 points ahead this year compared to how you felt last year, either based on how you're doing or the fact that you're facing a guy who's won the title before compared to?
No, I don't think there's a big difference. I think, you guys have seen it time and time again. We really focus on what it is that we need to do. We can all say that Phoenix was the culprit last year why we didn't win the championship. The fact of the matter is we had a mechanical problem in Homestead that took us out of it. If we'd have won Phoenix and went to Homestead, still had that mechanical problem, we still would have lost the championship. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think we were in great shape last year. I think we're in as good or maybe just a pinch better shape this year, although I do feel the opponent is a little bit more formidable than what we had last year. So I'm excited. I really am. I love this time of year. This is what we live for. This is what we want to do. We want to go out there and do everything we can to try to win Phoenix.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Kind of following up on that, Jimmie. Rick said that you guys were both really fired up after Phoenix last year, that kind of really set maybe the tone for even this year to some extent. What were those emotions like after that race last year? And did you feel like you solved whatever caused you to run outside the top 5 with that second that you had back in the spring? Do you feel like you guys are back to form at that track?
Yeah, I feel much better about Phoenix this year than last going into it. Kind of lost my thought on what was your first part of your question?
Rick just said that it kind of really got you guys fired up after that weekend. You guys felt like it kind of got away.
Yeah, there definitely was a feeling of it slipping away. Trying to recall the exact emotions at the time. I mean, frustrated that we blew a right front, and then rolling into Homestead, man, we didn't have anything to lose. We had everything to gain, and that was a fun way to race down there. And we found ourselves with awesome car, awesome strategy, and leading the race, and had our mechanical issues. So I think we had a pit stop issue too right before that started the downward spiral. But there was a range of emotions for sure. I mean, pretty disappointed leaving Phoenix. To have that slip away like that and lose a big chunk of points, and rolling into Homestead eager and ready and trying to put as much pressure on the 2 as we could. And man, we were close. We had all the pressure on them and in position, and made some mistakes.
Dustin
Long, Motor Racing Network. Chad, you just mentioned just a moment ago about feeling like this year's opponent, Matt's a little bit more formidable than last year's. Why so? Can you kind of explain that comment, please?
I think Matt, just from his personality standpoint, is a little bit more controlled. So I think he he's a little bit more mature. He's been in the sport for a long time, so I think he's just a little bit more even keel. So that makes him a little bit more challenging to kind of get off kilter or off rocker. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out come Phoenix.
Question number, Carlotta.
Carlotta Schmidtken, lottasports.com. Yesterday, during the nationwide race, do you stop and watch the race?
No, I was...
So what did you do?
I was in Dallas.
You were in
my
Dallas.
My wife and 2 kids were at a great friend's house up in Dallas. So once we had our debrief, I hopped in the car and drove up there and played in a little jump house with my daughter and my godchildren, and tried to teach my daughter how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. She didn't hit the ground, but it didn't go very well. Luckily, I caught her. Then went to Mi Casina and got some Mexican food and was jealous of everybody else having those Mumbo taxi margarita things.
Oh, yeah.
I wish that I could have. I could have one tonight, but I couldn't last night.
Yeah.
So that was it. Pretty calm.
So the training wheels worked for the most part. What would you give her a grade, A through C?
Yeah, she needs a little more time with the training
Oh.
wheels. Yeah, at 3, she's not quite there yet, but we had fun for sure.
Now, Chad, what about you? Do you stay and watch the race to see problems like the tire issue and things like that?
I try to study as much as I possibly can. I spent some time on pit road and walked up and down pit road a little bit, watched what some of the other teams were going through and what was happening. I don't analyze it a whole lot just because the strategy is so different. I'm not very good at nationwide racing, so I don't really understand what they do. But they did have the same tire, was the same racetrack, so I was able to get an idea of what was happening with the tire wear, but that was really all I paid any attention to.
Any additional questions? Oh, Marty? And back, Marty.
I'm sorry if you guys addressed this. I wasn't in here. Johnson, Gordon, it's basically over for him. He's 69 points out now. Finishes 38th, I think. What's it feel like when you're in a situation like his, where he wins last weekend, feels like he's got a Hail Mary chance to win a championship, and then you show up here pretty confident? Yeah, I think Rick said he felt really good after the test you guys had, and then it goes out the door like that with a blown tire.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to catch up with them yet, but I can only imagine the disappointment. They got off to a slow start through the year and rallied and showed great speed at different times. And then the whole Richmond thing, he thinks he's out and he's in. As he said, playing with house money, things are really going his way. Wins last weekend. So I would assume that it's just been a steady buildup of confidence and anticipation for a shot at a championship, and then boom, it's gone. So I'd imagine pretty disappointed for sure. I'll definitely reach out to him, check on him.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.